I'd like to call the meeting to order. If Julie would call the roll.
Sure. Mr. Dudek,
Here.
Mr. Manfres,
Here.
Ms. Reedy. Here. Mr. Madonio, Mr. Hummel, Ms. Kane. Here. Mr. Sodel.
Here.
I'd entertain a motion to allow the absence of Eric and Patrick.
So moved.
Is there a second? I'll second. Thank you. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay. Is there any corrections to the minutes from last month's meeting?
Nope. Make a motion to approve the minutes as submitted.
Second.
Oh, wait, I'm looking at the wrong one. Okay. Need to call the roll or no?
I can.
No, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
That's right.
Abstain.
Diane says aye. On the motion to accept the minutes, you say aye? And Angie, no, Angie has to abstain because she wasn't here.
Angie wasn't here.
That's right. I wasn't here. I'm sorry. I was trying to tell her why the minutes weren't the same.
We don't have, nothing new, correct, on the agenda? So let's proceed to old business. Revisit this application. I wasn't on the board then. But it bothers me that all the effort that PMHA is putting into making sure their units on the roof are hidden from public view. And then we have the little block one with 2 units that are pretty much, you can see them. If there's, I guess, some history. I mean, did they,
I can honestly say I was not at that meeting July 14th, 2022. I was on vacation, so I missed that meeting.
what good are you?
I was here.
That's right. It seems there's been 2 meetings with design review that I've missed, and both of them seem to be issued. One was with Dennis Andre, and obviously this one now.
Oh, okay.
Can we scroll down to, I think it's photo 4. So there you can see they had AC units on the roof.
Yes.
I don't know how visible they were.
Well, that's why we were looking at picture 3 to see how visible it was in picture 3. It appears that the new unit may be taller than the one that they took off because it to me, is much more visible than it was previously. But
Didn't they add a unit too? I mean, there's 2 units up there. There's one in the front.
there's more than that.
Oh,
I think there's multiple units up there. But if we look at the minutes and the discussion from the 22nd of July, or July 14th of 22. They're talking about visible issues from the street would be gutters, downspouts, and slate mansard and some of the trim. County only selected the slate mansard roof flat members as well as HVAC units on the top of the roof as the scope of work that they were doing. But they only talked about what was visible as not including the HVAC. I think somewhere else in here it said that they were just replacing them. We're not adding any new ductwork
I have the recording. I don't know if you guys want to listen to it or not, but I have the recording. About 15 minutes.
This is from when, the 15th, 22?
The July meeting of 22, yes.
There will not be new ductwork at this time, just connecting to what's there now. So that implies that they were replacing old HVAC units. The flip side of that is that those HVAC units went up on that roof, and I don't think they ever came before us to put those up there. Which, being the most prominent building in downtown Ravenna, one would think they would have. But that building is big enough up on the roof that they could have done what we requested PMHA to do, and that is move them away from the visible facade of Chestnut and Main and move them to the back of the building where you can't see them other than maybe from Prospect. As you drive down Prospect, you might be able to see them in the distance. But right now, when you stand on the courthouse lawn, it's front and center on that building up on the roof. So I think on July 14th, 22, they asked permission to replace the units. And we gave them permission to replace the units. Not probably at that time understanding the implication of replacing the unit. If it's a taller unit, made it much more visible. It appears, go back down to photo 4 again. The ductwork comes up through the roof. There's a base that's about 2 feet or 30 inches high, and the unit sits on top of that. Which means the ductwork is in that 30 inches, going up and down into the bottom of that unit. That ductwork could be turned and brought back on the roof, across the roof, and into the side of that unit. Rooftop HVAC units can either take ductwork on the side or ductwork in the bottom, either way. When they do that, they put on a platform, bring the ductwork up inside the platform, set the unit on, and then the ductwork is connected into the bottom of the unit. But that unit could be taken off of that platform, moved back on the roof, and the ductwork could be taken across the roof and put into the side of that unit. And then it would be no higher on the roof than what is currently white. And I'm not sure what's white is hardly visible from the street.
What's underneath the round one?
What is it?
That's just a raised base to keep it up out of the snow and whatever else. There's probably a 16 or 18 inch diameter round duct or square duct coming up into the bottom. That's just an exhaust fan pulling air either from bathrooms. I'm not sure, is that visible from the courthouse lawn?
I don't know. I mean,
I'm not sure that
What-
was.
yeah, I mean, the question is, what's above that window? Is that unit, or was it the round one? In picture 3? Because it shows something there on the roof. See?
Now what's visible right there is not round. I think that's.
Correct.
That's the HVAC unit.
Okay,
I think the round exhaust fan is far enough back on the roof that it doesn't show in the photograph.
okay.
I mean, we could all take a hike out on the courthouse lawn and take a look and see what we see, but
The vents, that's what I was thinking. Right here,
that one.
that's a vent.
Well,
That doesn't show up in the pictures.
that was, yeah, that was not in picture 4 then, was it? Well, not that we can see. It could have been left of that exhaust fan. Again, that's an item that it looks like it goes up and the opening is facing west.
So really, at this meeting, they didn't really bring in any kind of a design, did they?
No,
Because it says design development begins in August.
I don't recall that we saw anything on HVAC. All we were shown was flashing, coping, that type of stuff, and the discussion on natural slate and artificial slate. Bob, did you send a letter to the county, to the commissioners?
Put them on notice, and then we told the county, hold off until we decide, the design review decides what they want to do, or if they make requests or something. So Shannon has been put on notice, and, is that correct?
Mhm.
So we're gonna have them come here until you guys review all the
Okay.
information that we have. So I guess we have to make a decision, do we want them to move it, or are we gonna request them to relocate the HVAC units? Or are we going to say, we're not gonna let this happen again, and accept it, right? This design review wants to do. Can we tell them they didn't present it accurately to us? Can we say that, based on the information, or what happened, you didn't tell us the truth, type of a thing? I think that seems like that's what we're trying to do here is,
Right.
were they upfront with what they told us they were doing, or did they hide something? I mean, I don't think they deliberately did anything like that, but, had they, like you're saying, the Edna House, they understand the historical significance. That is actually a building on the National Register. Same thing with the Edna House. There's only a few buildings that are on our National Register, or on the National Register. That is one of them. What do you guys want to do?
Well, I have a question that I don't have an answer for. And that is the unit that they're replacing. Who put that unit on the roof?
I want to say Boken's. Oh, the existing, the previous unit.
Did Eric do that?
He restored the building in what year?
But I don't know that Eric air conditioned the building. After the fire, we did drawings to put in, to restore things, and we put in an elevator, we put in ADA compliant bathrooms on 2, 3, and 4. He put in underfloor heat and poured gypcrete to make the units comfortable. But I don't think, at that time, he didn't put in cooling. He didn't put air conditioning in the building. So I guess my question is, did he come back at a later time and put air conditioning in before he sold it to the county? Or did the county put the air conditioning in after they bought the building? If Eric put the air conditioning in and put that original unit up there, then I'm not sure we can point one finger at the county, but we can't point two fingers. We can't say, you put that in without coming to us. But you didn't institute any conversation, and nor did we ask whether the unit that was going on was going to be substantially bigger than the old one and become more visible. And could we look at an alternative to plunking that new unit on top and moving it further back and doing something else? If Eric put the original unit up there, then they're not at fault about that.
We can check our building records, we have to go back to the old file and see if something was submitted for a permit.
I could ask him.
That's true. So, when did he redo the building? When did you guys do that? Because our records wouldn't have started until late 94, 95.
I forget when the fire was. Well, I bought my building in 1990, and that's when Bert and Jim Frank sold the Riddle properties to the jewelry guy and who was the CPA? Jim?
I mean, from Kent, Escott, no?
Or wasn't he accountant? I forget what he was. But they sold all the Riddle properties, the majority of them they sold to that jewelry store guy and his accountant. And they owned them for a number of years. And then when they sold them, that's when Eric bought Block 1, whatever the block is, he still owns Block 2. He bought Block 9, he bought 4 or 5 of the blocks from them. And I don't know when that was. Sometime in the late 90s, maybe. And he owned that one for 10 years. County's probably owned it 10 years now, haven't they?
To me, they've always owned it, but I don't know.
No, they leased a lot of the building, and then they went ahead and bought it, yeah. They had the majority of the lease space in that building. They kept acquiring more and more space. My guess is the fire was right around 2000, sometime in there. It's been more than 20 years.
Did Jack Cole own that building at one time?
No.
It showed the Board of Commissioners purchased it from Ravenna Rehabilitation. 2002. April 4th.
Okay. They've owned it 22 years already?
I've always owned it to my knowledge, but I've only been here 24 years.
Hey Siri, when was the downtown Ravenna fire in Riddle Block 1? A huge hotel destroyed the main hotel, huge fire, that's not Ravenna. whether Eric did it or whether the county did the air conditioning initially is one point. The other point is, I would like to have a conversation with the county about relocating that unit. Obviously, if you're talking about changing the penetration through the roof and moving ductwork and doing all that work that's required inside the building, that's one thing. But if you can pick up the unit, move it from point A to point B and do the ductwork over the top of the roof and wrap it and insulate it and do what you need to do, then it's not nearly as expensive. Because most of the time, when we put units up on the roof, they only sit up about 8 inches. They sit on a curb so that water can move underneath them, but they only sit up 8 inches or 10 inches high. They don't sit 3 feet high. Cliff, you've been quiet.
I have my own opinions on it, and I don't really want to bring it up.
Would there be an acceptable solution to put a screen? I'll call it a fence, even though fence isn't the right word. Something to block the view, paint it a darker color or something, so it's not as substantial, a flat black or a flat gray or something?
Sky blue.
We don't have an sky gray.
If we were in North Carolina, we could paint it sky blue, but we have sky gray here. We don't have sky blue.
I'm just spitballing.
This is an open forum. You're welcome for your comments.
Well, I'd like to, I wasn't on the board then, but I'd still like to have them come in and we have to work out some sort of solution of some sort.
We can ask them to come in and discuss it with us. I guess ultimately there's two things. They can compromise,
And they can just say, screw it.
or they could say, we're out of budget. They're spending a lot of money. Portage County Commissioners are spending a lot of money on their stuff, whatever their stuff is.
Yeah, well, that's why we got to get to them before they spend all their money.
All right, that's what we'll do. We'll ask them to come in and we'll discuss it with them.
Does that need a motion or just,
Might as well make a motion to make it official. If we don't make a motion and somebody says it's not official, then we have to start over. Make it official whether it's needed or not.
I'd like to make a motion that we request that Portage County Commissioners and/or, what are they called?
Representative.
Well, a representative, but the
Shannon Townend, yeah, I don't have that.
I don't believe I was here at that time. That's my fault. But were all these things that they've listed, were they passed?
you were here, you were here at that
Was I
meeting.
here?
Yep.
Yeah, it was 2 years ago.
Internal Services, yes. Representative from Portage County Internal Services. Attend next month's meeting so that we can discuss the rooftop HVAC equipment and possible modifications.
I'll second it. If I'm allowed to do that.
All right.
You need to call it,
What?
yeah.
Yeah, he's a voter.
You're the chairman, I'm the vice chair.
Yep.
Yeah, all right, yeah. All right. You kind of call the roll?
Yep. Mr. Dudek?
Yes.
Mr. Manfred?
Yes.
Ms. Reedy? Ms. Kane?
Yes.
Mr. Sodel?
No.
She sent those out the other day, yesterday.
The next thing on the agenda is prospectus.
I've been working with Prospectus, helping put together an updated, not the right word, a clean historic district map. And one of their questions was, they asked if we could show places on the National Register, which is sort of easy. And then they've also asked for places of local landmarks, that's the local landmarks. I don't know that Ravenna has designated, at least by ordinance, local landmarks. You know, to me, a local landmark might be the flagpole because there's a flag. And maybe that's even been entered into the National Register of Places or structures or something, I don't know. There's a plaque over by Arby's that said Abraham Lincoln stopped here. You know, to me, that would be a landmark, a local landmark, but do we know, do you guys know of anything that I'm missing? There's only 5 buildings downtown that are on the National Register, surprisingly, because they've removed some of them in the past, because they've been bastardized.
What are those five,
The Riddle
other
Block.
than the riddle?
So you got Riddle Block 1, 5, 9, and 11 in the Phoenix, Etna House. Phoenix, Etna House, Riddle Blocks 1, 5, 9, and 11. And then the article goes on to say new buildings exist in the downtown as well, some of which are compatible in terms of scale and materials with their neighbors, while others are more disruptive in their impact by virtue of their contemporary designs and lack of sensitivity to the pedestrian.
Well, wouldn't, Etna House be on that?
It is.
It is.
Etna, Phoenix, 1, 5, 9, and 11. So this article is from, so I started, I got on the National Register, and the searchable map isn't functioning. So I found this, it's a PDF, United States Department of Interior, National Register of Historic Places, February 6th of 1985. So it's an old document. I'll send this to you guys to read. It's a lot of reading, but it talks about the district. And then many of the downtown buildings are old structures dating from the 19th to early 20th centuries. Majority of these buildings suffer from storefront alterations. New buildings exist in the downtown as well, some of which are compatible in terms of scale and material with their neighbors, while others are more disruptive in their impact by virtue of contemporary designs, sensitivity to pedestrian. At present, enough change has occurred in the downtown Ravenna to disqualify the area for National Register Historic District status. So we could not get a Ravenna Historic District national status. We just have buildings that are the national status. Again, this is 1985. So while the dominant commercial buildings are historic structures, the central building in downtown Ravenna is the county courthouse, which is a modern structure dating from 1960. It goes on to talk about the contemporary theme, but like I said, I'll send it to you guys to read, but I was a little disappointed when I read that. And it talks about each building, and the Phoenix building, the So anyway, my question to you guys is what buildings or structures would you say are local landmarks?
Reed Memorial Library.
I don't know that the state recognizes local landmarks like they do on the National Register of Historic Places, but that's why I drew blank. I don't really understand would the city council have to accept something as a local landmark? I don't know. Or maybe we could just,
I wouldn't think.
I don't know. I don't know. I don't know enough about it, so I was asking. So that's the perspective. So they're supposed to have a document, a draft document to us early June, I think for the June meeting. That's what they had said.
Okay.
I can tell you they spent half their budget already.
Pardon?
They spent almost half of their budget already. That was my perspectives update.
Okay. Well, part of what they're doing is going back to the ordinances that established it and recommending changes to that also, right?
Anybody have anything else? Any comments from the audience? See, I'm making sure I recognize you, Larry, okay? Okay. All right. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. Is there a second? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
So adjourned.